News Services Division of All India Radio presents Northeast Diary. Good evening. Welcome to this edition of Northeast Diary. Here, we bring you the latest developments from India's unexplored Northeast region. Friends, today we will talk about an awareness program on disability rehabilitation that was recently organized for teachers and special educators in Sikkim. We will also bring you an interview with Mamang Dai, an Indian poet, novelist and journalist based in Itanagar, Arunachal Pradesh. At the very onset, let us go over to Arunachal Pradesh. The first Arunachal Tea Festival was held at Pasighat in East Siang district in Arunachal Pradesh on Tuesday. The event was attended by tea growers, promoters and enthusiasts from across the state. A report.
The demand for tea produced in Arunachal Pradesh continues to rise in the international market. But the tea growers in the state, which are mostly small-scale growers, are still deprived from a good platform to market their product. In order to overcome this issue, the Arunachal Pradesh Agriculture Marketing Board organized a first ever Arunachal Tea Festival at Pasighat in East Siang district on Tuesday and brought together tea growers, promoters and enthusiasts from across the state. Okit Paling, MD and CEO of Arunachal Pradesh Agriculture Marketing Board, said that the festival was aimed at not just celebrating the legacy of tea cultivation of the state, but also to provide platform for the tea cultivators to exchange ideas with each other and learn ways to improve their products.
हम लोग ऐसे स्टेट या ऐसे कल्चर अभी ज़्यादातर थोड़ा कॉफी की तरफ शिफ्ट हो रहे हैं. नंबर वन. नंबर टू, हमारे राज्य में बहुत सारे स्मॉल टी ग्रोअर्स है जिसका अपना ब्रांड भी है और कुछ लोग along with some brands अपना चाय को बेचते हैं. लेकिन हम लोग का ये मकसद है कि जो हमारा स्मॉल टी ग्रोअर्स है उनका जो चाय है इसको एक नेक्स्ट लेवल एक बढ़ावा एक पुश करने के लिए हम लोग ये अरुणाचल टी फेस्टिवल ये पहला एडिशन है इसको ऑर्गेनाइज किया है. बेसिकली वी आर डूइंग दिस टू सेलिब्रेट आवर टी. हम लोग जो चाय है उनको सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए यहाँ आप देखिए कि वी हैव मोर देन 30 यहाँ टी गार्डन ओनर्स है जिनका अपना ब्रांड है सब लेके आया है. तो एक तरफ से देखा जाए तो ये एक प्लेटफॉर्म है उनके लिए भी कि जो स्टेक होल्डर है जो टी इंडस्ट्री में जो लोग यहाँ का अरुणाचल का है उनको एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया जाए जहाँ आपस में एकजुट इकट्ठा होता है, शेयरिंग ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन रहता है, शेयरिंग ऑफ नॉलेज भी रहता है. क्योंकि कोई टी ग्रोअर्स नया है, सम ऑफ देम दे आर वेरी ओल्ड जो बहुत एक्सपीरियंस भी है, सियांग टी है और ऑर्गेनिक सेक्टर में आप कुछ चाहिए जैसे आपका वाक्रोती है, ये लोग पहले से करते आ रहे हैं. तो जो अपकमिंग जो टी ओनर्स है उनके लिए भी एक लर्निंग है कि हमारे जो वेटरनरी का जो बाकी लोग कैसे काम कर रहे हैं उसको देखने का मौका मिल रहा है. तो ये एक तरफ से इसको हम अगर सम करना हो तो बेसिकली हमारा जो इस का जगह जगह जितना वैरायटीज ऑफ टी है उसको एक साथ लेके आके हम उसका बढ़ावा देना है, उसको हम अपना जो चाय है उनको सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए ये इवेंट ऑर्गेनाइज किया है.
Arunachal Pradesh is one of the major tea producing states in India. Tea cultivation is taking rapid strides in the hill slopes of Lohit, East Siang district, Dibang Valley, Changlang and Tirap district. It is worth mentioning that in 2018, the Golden Needles tea, a specialty orthodox tea variety from the Doni Polo tea state in Oyan in East Siang district was auctioned for Rs 40,000 per kilogram. For Northeast Diary, this is Rakesh Dole, Air News, Itanagar.
In an effort to bolster policing through the adoption of innovative technology, the Commissionerate of Police Dimapur has launched its official e-Police Nagaland Mobile App. This app is developed exclusively for use by the police to supplement the discharge of their duties and responsibilities. We have a report.
First of its kind in the state, e-Police Nagaland mobile application is a record management system envisaged to help the police in maintaining digital records related to cases such as non-FIRs, non-bailable warrants, seizures, armed deposited and arrests made. The application was launched by Director General of Police Nagaland, Rupin Sharma, on February 7, 2023. The application was developed by the Commissionerate of Police Dimapur in collaboration with Logics Tech Solutions Private Limited, a local tech firm based in Kohima. The application also aims to help the police in identifying criminal trends and hotspots, improve their decision-making process, and facilitate faster crime investigation methods. In case of natural calamity, such as a fire, flooding or earthquake, the application also ensures all the records are safely stored, easily accessible as well. For Northeast Diary, this is Asanyo from AIR News, Kohima.
In Mizoram, the budget session is going on beginning from 7th of February, with the 5-year term of the present MNF government ending in the last part of this year. The ongoing assembly session is witnessing the last budget session. In this session, Chief Minister Zoramthanga, who also holds the finance portfolio, presented the annual budget with an outlay of 14,209.95 crore rupees for the next financial year 2023-24. While presenting the budget, the Chief Minister highlighted the performance of the government on development of the state. He also said that the state will host a G20 meeting next month, for which preparations are on full swings. In his budget speech, Mr. Zoramthanga made it clear that the state government would formulate a comprehensive tourism policy on priority in compliance with the sustainable development policies. We have more from our correspondent from Aizawl.
While presenting the annual budget, Chief Minister Zoramthanga said the state will host a G20 meeting in March, for which the state government has initiated multi-level preparations. He said that the forthcoming G20 meeting will turn out an excellent platform to showcase cultural and traditional heritage of Mizoram. Mr. Zoramthanga also highlighted the importance of adopting a responsible tourism policy, which his government accords as one of the priorities. The goal of the policy is to follow a sustainable development strategy and make tourism a tool for providing livelihood for the population. He said the responsible tourism policy will apply to all ongoing and future tourism-based projects. The Chief Minister said this annual budget is neither a deficit nor a surplus budget. It has not imposed any new tax proposal. Along with the budget proposals, he also presented the supplementary demand for grants for the current fiscal 2022-23, which amounts to 3,265 crore rupees. In the budget proposal, more than 11,000 crore rupees was allocated under the revenue expenditure, which is 78.10% of the total budget allocation. Also, an amount of over 3,000 crore rupees was allotted for capital expenditure, which is 21.90% of the total budget. The budget has given higher focus on social sector areas, as for instance, 595 crore rupees has been allocated for implementation of the state flagship program known as Socio-Economic Development Policy, SEDP. Under the SEDP, 300 crore rupees has been earmarked for the family-oriented scheme to support them in sustaining livelihood. Also, 60 crore rupees has been allocated as MLA Local Area Development Fund. The Chief Minister said that 40 legislators of the state will spend this fund with equal share for execution of developmental works in their respective constituencies. On the other hand, over 157 crore rupees have been allocated for direct subsidy under the State Power and Electricity to enable people to avail electricity at a lower cost. For Northeast Diary with Subhashis Chanda, this is Irene from Aizawl.
An awareness program on disability rehabilitation was recently organized for teachers and special educators under Samagra Shiksha of Sikkim Education Department at Modern Senior Secondary School in Gangtok. The program was organized in collaboration with Secunderabad-based National Institute for the Empowerment of Persons with Intellectual Disability, or NIEPID, which provides services to persons with intellectual disabilities.
The main objective of the awareness program on disability rehabilitation was to impart knowledge on teaching strategies for differently able students in a school environment. Joint Director of Sikkim Education Department, Tubdan Bhutia, highlighted various aspects of intellectual disability and solutions for differently able students. He informed that in Sikkim, there are about 13,000 students with disability and underlying provisions under Samagra Shiksha, along with schemes offered by the Social Welfare Department. Assistant Professor of Clinical Psychology, Manoj Kumar SP, stressed on greater awareness among students regarding the differently abled, as mental health issues among students have been rising at an alarming rate. He also spoke about various facilities available for differently abled students, which include travel concession, insurance and loans. The program included a presentation explaining the importance of the Universal Disability Identity Card for children and persons with special needs to avail of benefits without the interference of a mediator. Importance of teachers in building a bridge between the needy and available benefits was also highlighted. With Zaikat Sarkar, this is Tashammu Bhutia for AIR News Sikkim.
Taking you to the state of Meghalaya, the 2011 census has estimated that there are about 2,374 visually impaired people in the state, and this number is likely to increase. In the absence of proper infrastructural facilities for the visually impaired, the role of organizations like Blind Lead Trust that caters to the needs of the visually impaired becomes very important. Here is a report.
When the blind lead the blind, they can choose their own path is the motto of the Blind Lead Trust, a non-profit organization located at Laujindu, Nongtumai, founded by Dr. Theodore Molam and Jitendra Dakhar, managing trustee. Its main aim is to promote and empower young visually impaired citizens and help them become active and self-independent. The organization, which has 6 staff members, is currently focused on setting up a computer training center and doing campaigns to achieve this goal. However, being a non-profit organization without sponsorship, it is not easy to run the show. There is always a need for funds, sponsorship to keep the organization running. Blind Lead Trust is a place where the sighted and the visually impaired work to help each other, brothers and sisters, where each learns from the other, a space which works for the inclusiveness of the blind and their dreams. With Paritosh Dikshit, this is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay, AIR News, Shillong.
The state of Assam is cracking down on child marriage in the last 2 weeks. Authorities have arrested hundreds of people, including the groom's parents, clerics and priests. Child marriage has been linked with poor maternal health and high infant mortality. Assam state has one of the highest rates of child marriage in India. Nearly 1 in 6 women here have had children when they were just teenagers. That number is higher in rural areas where there are strong patriarchal biases and few opportunities for women. Dr. Jury Sharma Bordoloi, social activist and politician, said,
Arrest is a drastic action just to make people realize the fault, the mistake they have done for so many years, ages, decades. The state has to be a social movement. We have to be aware, we have to stop this child marriage at any cost.
The government says its aim is to improve women's health. There are growing calls to improve girls' education and focus on gender equality. Chief Minister of Assam, Shri Himanta Biswa Sarma, said,
There is a Child Prohibition Act, Marriage Prohibition Act, that you cannot marry anyone who is below 18 years. If you marry, that marriage is illegal. So we are simply enforcing the law of the land.
The government says it will rehabilitate families. Mamang Dai is an Indian poet, novelist and journalist based in Itanagar, Arunachal Pradesh. She received Sahitya Akademi Award in 2017 for her novel, The Black Hill. Today we bring you an interview with Mamang Dai. Talking to Mamang Dai is journalist Mukul Pathak.
We have with us Miss Mamang Dai, a poet and a novelist writing in English from Arunachal Pradesh in northeast India. Her mother tongue is Adi. She is the first woman of her state to have been selected to the IAS. However, she gave up her career in civil service to pursue a career in journalism. Dai worked as correspondent with the Hindustan Times, the Telegraph and the Sentinel newspapers and was the president of Arunachal Pradesh Union of Working Journalists.
Welcome to Northeast Diary. Today we have with us Ms. Mamang Dai. She is a poet and novelist writing in English from Arunachal Pradesh in India, Northeast. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Mukul. Greetings first to all our listeners. You're talking about my life as a writer and the things we have done. I think for any person, apart from being a writer or in any profession, it's always not easy to actually declare that these were the milestones or, this is how I became what I am at the present. There are many influences along the way, books, strangers, friends, family, of course, many privileges, maybe some losses, good decisions, bad decisions. But all in all, I think one has to be grateful for, where you have reached.
Your first novel, Legends of Pensam, and I know it is a very deep book connected with nature, and if you read a paragraph from that book, our listeners will be very pleased.
I think I'll just read the kind of little introduction that was there. This has reference to the word Pensam itself, which is the title of the book, The Legends of Pensam. So this is just a little excerpt about the word Pensam. In our language, the language of the Adi, the word Pensam means in between. It suggests the middle or middle ground or just having that moment of time, to do something. But it may also be interpreted as the hidden spaces of the heart where a secret garden grows. It is the small world where anything can happen and everything can be lived, where the narrow boat that we call life sails along, somehow in calm or stormy weather, where the life of a man can be measured in the span of a song.
As a scholar, you were a brilliant student that time, and you cleared IAS, and later you resigned. It was very tempting to getting that kind of job, and leaving the job and joined as a journalist, and from Itanagar, a place where journalism was, never thought to be a profession that time. How did this come to your mind?
I think, at that time in the late 70s, early 80s, when we joined the IAS, there were not so many options. And what you see today in Itanagar, at that time, of course, there was no Itanagar. In fact, Arunachal was not even a state then, a full-fledged state. So there was no backup in Delhi also, like a big Arunachal house where people would throw a party to congratulate you for getting into the IAS or anything. We were just there and things happened. Of course, I joined the academy and I felt at that time, maybe there are some other things. I've always been interested in alternatives. I think even the writing is, alternative view or a different perception. And because we were young, I think we were also very brave and decided, okay, I'm going to try and look at something else. So things happened that way. And then I left the academy, of course. I left the service. But it was not with a really, fixed focus that I'm going to become a writer or I thought I'd do journalism and feel my way around, something different because life in the academy I felt might have been very restricted. For better or worse, now we can't say, I still have many friends and we went back to the academy also for the Labasna Literature Festival, just a few years back. So it was all very nice. But at least we have that in the background. For that I'm grateful.
Recently, one of your book translated to Assamese by Dr. Pori Hiloilare won the English Translation Award of Sahitya Akademi.
Yes.
So how you feel about it? That once you wrote about Arunachal Pradesh, now your books has been translated, and the translated book also getting awards. What is the feel? How you feel about it?
No, actually I was very happy for, especially for Dr. Pori Hiloidori, because she is a real scholar. I'm not a scholar by any means, Mukul. Dr. Pori is in the English department in Guwahati University. And I met her only quite recently. We had spoken over phone while the translation was in progress. And there was also Mr. Brajakishore Soikia, who really wanted to translate the book. He told me, it was something memorable and it was a thing he wanted to do. So I said, you're free by any means, because I don't read or write Assamese, even though we had studied it in school in Shillong. I'm not fluent, so ultimately, I think a very good job was done with a lot of love and feeling. And of course, I can't read the Assamese version, but now that it has won the Sahitya Academy Translation Prize, I think it's really wonderful. Because Assam, Arunachal, we've always had a connection also. So this becomes more with people, in Assam who might now read it in Assamese. That's also a great thing, I think. I hope they'll remember my name and know me more through Dr. Pori Hiloidori's translation.
You started writing a poem at your earlier time, and later on you write novels also. One of your famous poem, the name of the poem gone, I would like to quote 2 lines from the poem. You started the poem in this. So we have long journey in our blood, the road has no end, the lanes and streets are lined in my eyes. Somewhere it resembles with your life. You are in a journey from your starting days, early days until now. Even few days back also you attended a few literary festivals and met people all around India. So how do you feel about the journey you were carrying, and it reflects in your poem also?
Poetry, you don't know where the inspiration for that first line or the first image might suddenly hit you, Usually I become very active in my mind when I'm traveling. After the initial, hassle of packing, waking up early, because traveling from the northeast to any other part of the country, it's always, a strategy. You have to plan flight bookings, road journeys. But after you get over that, once you're on the road, I think that is a kind of free space, for your mind to think about, and you find all kinds of lines and ideas and lily ponds, rice fields, driving through Assam, that kind of thing. And I think that's where the lines come, and then slowly, the shape of poem maybe comes into your mind, into your heart, and you think about it, but you want it to have some meaning, you have to draw on certain experiences, which are also, again, very mixed. It is the life of any person, actually. Everyone is so much more complex or so much more rich as personalities than you initially see them, no? So I think a poem also is like that. And that's how the idea came, that, you're always traveling. There are other lines where I think you say, but you have so many messengers carrying the whispers of the world. Yeah, so these are all connections, world with your own past or with your background or people in the village or where you come from, where you're going, where you've been and how you return. It's like life itself. Life always returns, I think, in one way or the other, when you interpret life as such. Life, meaning, memory, time, that kind of thing.
And I can feel actually that the time you have passed as a journalist, influenced you as a writer.
Not only as a writer, I find I'm very, I like to have the facts, if someone says something, I want to know why they're saying it or for what reason, where is the evidence, that kind of thing. And I know I shouldn't push it too much, but I just like to know, to get to grips with it. And it's always true. Once you're informed, you're better armed. We used to say that in not only journalism, but information is always good. But now with social media, Mukul, don't you think there is a kind of overkill of information. Everyone is getting it from anywhere, everywhere. I don't know how you feel about it, but journalism that way did influence me, and also it gave me a lot of good friends in Arunachal. It was a great time, sitting in Legislative Assembly, watching the goings on. Journalism gives you so much access, with interviews, big politicians, which we might not have otherwise, and also listening in to actually history being created in the state.
Finally, how you are passing your time and any new creative writing, your readers can expect from you in the coming days?
The new book is just out, Escaping the Land. That is about the Northeast Frontier Agency period. And a lot of the notes are coming from my father, who was actually an official, a tribal officer in those days. And there is the 1962 period. And it's also a look at how adventurous people were then, They were marching blindly into really terra incognita, like no one knew anything. I met some people in Sipsagar recently at a function there, and this elderly Assamese lady was telling me about her husband, who would cross the Brahmaputra back and forth and disappear into the hills, meaning our Arunachal, and they were there waiting on the banks of the Brahmaputra. And I thought, how nice that connection was, like no borders. Probably he might have been a teacher. And there were so many people like that who were giving their best years and whatever knowledge, love they had to, teaching, promoting, or helping with the first administrative circles in that period when Arunachal was the Northeast Frontier Agency.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you.
For Northeast Diary with Mukul Pathak, this is Rakesh Dole, AIR News, Itanagar.
You were just listening to an interview with Mamang Dai, the recipient of Sahitya Academy Award in 2017 for her novel The Black Hill. The interviewer was Mukul Pathak. And now, let us listen to this beautiful composition from Sikkim. With that, we have come to the end of this edition of Northeast Diary. Do join us next week to hear more stories from this enchanting part of India. Bye-bye. program was presented by Anuja Kumar, scripted and produced by Sharmila Goswami, and assisted by Kumar Gaurav. It was brought to you by the News Services Division of All India Radio.